Oh, yes. There's always a harp hunt.
Welcome to another episode of Chewing the Fat. I'm your host, Big Rob. Thank you so much for tuning in, downloading the podcast. I certainly do appreciate that. And to the folks that have left reviews on Apple Podcasts and given the 5-star ratings, thank you so much. It really does help the podcast find more people so we can continue to tell these beautiful, messy human stories. Right now, one of my favorite humans in the world, sitting across from me in the studio, please welcome Paul Barton-Jones. Paul. Hey, buddy.
How's it going?
It's good. You're a little quiet.
Am I?
You are.
Oh, not using my theater voice.
It's odd. Paul and I, we know each other from theater first. Then we worked together for years at the fruit stand.
The notorious.
The notorious fruit stand. And we just continue to know each other from theater and stay in touch and stuff like that. So, but you are teaching now.
Yes, I am a high school theater teacher now. Actually, this year will be my first year just focusing on theater. I've been doing theater and chorus for the last 2 years. Okay. Built the program up enough to where they were like, yeah, we should probably get you some help. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
That's awesome. We're here in Augusta. Is Augusta home for you, Paul, like born and raised? Born and raised.
I've been kind of everywhere. I grew up over in Martinez. Went to Bel Air Elementary, that is now, Dollar General in that large field. Grew up in my grandmother's home, and she taught at Evans High School. And now, full circle moment, I am right back teaching at Evans High School.
That's awesome.
So, but been here my whole life.
Yeah. Doing theater and music and things like that. Did you grow up in like a musical household?
No. Surprisingly, I am the only one of 7 grandchildren who had any kind of musical desire.
Really?
Apparently, I was the kid that liked to lay on the floor and watch Disney movies and sing along. And a family member, I think it was my grandma's sister, so great aunt, was in the house and looked at my grandma and was like, you should probably get him in something. And so my grandma did some research and found the Augusta Children's Chorale. So I started doing that. And that's kind of how I was able to get some outlet other than just performing in front of the TV for, my immediate family.
So when you were in school then, so did you get going into like chorus programs, band programs, things like that? Because you're also an instrumentalist, you're a flautist.
Surprisingly, and that's what most people don't realize about me, is that my degree was in flute performance.
Wow.
So I don't play as much as I would like to, considering that degree. But I am using my music degree to be able to teach music and theater and stuff like that. But I think I did some chorus stuff maybe in elementary school. I remember being in a couple of the school plays in elementary school. Middle school is when we kind of moved around, and I moved over into the North Augusta area. Went to Hammond Hill, made some friends that were starting to go into band at Paul Knox. And so 7th grade year, I was like, I want to join the band because all my friends were doing it. And the teacher was like, sure, you can join band, but just tell me you don't want to play the trumpet or the drums. And I was like, no, I want to play the flute, because my grandma had told me. She's like, I just think the flute is the most beautiful instrument. So I was like, I'm going to do that. Cut to me getting my degree, and I reminded her of that story. I was like, you're the reason I learned how to play the flute. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I reminded her of that. And she's like, did I say that? She's like, I meant the oboe.
Wow.
And I was like, well, $20,000 of college debt later maybe is not the best time.
And it's not necessarily transferable skills between the flute and the oboe. I mean,
no. Not by any means. I did try it in one of our college classes. We have to learn how to play other woodwind instruments, and I tried that, and I could not make a sound on that.
Wow.
So flute it is.
Flute it is. And that's what you, and obviously that's what you said, that's what you went to college for. You go here or?
I did. I went to what is now Augusta University. I think at that point it might have been Augusta State or GRU. It's been through multiple name changes.
So many names.
That college on the hill over there is what we'll just refer to it as. I did. I went there. I had actually applied and got into UGA. But because I was the only child in a huge family that had any kind of musical interest, my family had no idea how to get me into any of those kinds of programs. I was also the first one to look into going off to school. But I also graduated from a small town high school over here in South Carolina. They just didn't know how to help find art students, find resources. So I got in and did all that stuff, and then it came down to it, and we just didn't have the money for me to go. So real quick, in a week, had to apply for Augusta State, get in, and then just started. And it's been, the ball's been rolling ever since.
Yeah. In that time of playing music and stuff like that, where did theater come into play?
So as I was studying music, I've always been a huge music nerd. I've always listened to soundtracks, watched movie musicals. The first musical I ever saw, my grandma did take me to that. I've told my students this story a million times, so if they're listening, I'm sorry you have to hear it again. But the first live musical I ever saw was Oklahoma at Evans High School. Okay. She was going to support. She knew I liked it. And so I saw that. And I've been in Oklahoma twice now. And actually this year I'm going to be directing it at Evans High School. So again, full circle. But I was studying music, and a lot of my friends were voice majors, and one of the professors, Patty Myers, had a notice on her door for an opera workshop performance, and they were looking for some people to fill out some characters for the Bernstein show Candide. And they were looking for a Dr. Pangloss, which is nice baritone sound. And I looked at the call sheet, and I was like, I know that. And I knocked on her door, and I was like, I know this musical. And she was like, do you? Small town flute player. What do you know about Candide?
Right.
And she brought me into her office. I sang a little bit, and she was like, okay. And I kind of got the bug then and there. I did Oklahoma. I did that opera workshop performance. I ended up doing The Music Man, and met some really great friends that I'm still working with today. Sean Moten. He's come back and directed some stuff after being out of town for several years. So, that's kind of where it all started. Yeah. And I haven't stopped.
Yeah. Well, and I think I met you with the Augusta Players back when Debbie Ballas was still alive, still handling that program. And it's such a welcoming community. Every group is going to have some cliques and things like that, and you have to work your way in. But overall, it's very accepting, community to, hey, yeah, come on, be a part of whatever we've got going on.
That was actually, I was doing Oklahoma with Laura Butler and Melissa Canis, who were real big in the Players at that time. And Laura was Ado Annie and I was Will Parker, and she was like, you should really come audition for an Augusta Player show. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. At that point, I had already auditioned, I think, for the Augusta Opera and had a terrible audition for Sweeney Todd, but somehow still got in the ensemble. But yeah, I ended up coming in and auditioning, and I sang Oh, What a Beautiful Morning for my audition for Peter Pan, which is literally not the same kind of musical.
Yeah.
And just watching Debbie behind the table, not knowing who I was, but then just kind of her like sitting back and crossing her arms like she would do, and smiling and going and nodding and going, I knew I had found my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and you've continued on doing plenty of stuff with the Players, even now musical directing a lot of shows. I just saw Hadestown Teen that you did at Davidson. It was the junior players performing at Davidson as a venue. But it was so well done. So well done. And you could tell that how much work all of those kids put into that performance, and how much you as the musical director brought out of them. I mean, there's a lot of emotion in those songs. There's also a lot of nuance in those songs,
right.
and layered voices and things like that that can easily become, a din on the ears, where this was not. This was very, very well crafted. So bravo to you and all of those kids. It was a great, great performance.
Yeah, the kids, the crew, Christina, her artistic vision for the whole thing, and then saying, hey, we're putting the band on stage. And I was like, okay, because we were on stage with the kids, but a lot of times they could not see me. The band was split up across, the stage. And so I would finagle away to speak to the other half of the instrumentalists when I didn't have a clear line of communication otherwise. And I've learned a long time ago, you make good friends with the sound engineer.
Yeah.
And they will help you any way they can.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of work with helping with the blend and stuff. But no, musical theater, I love the storytelling of musical theater. And those kids were so excited and so invested in the storytelling for Hadestown. Because hot take, Hadestown is not one of my favorite musicals. But those kids loved it so much that I just kind of fed off of that energy.
Yeah.
And working through music and things like that, I start looking at the small details and going, wow, this is really genius, the way that this composer put all of this together, and putting little bits and pieces here and there. Like each character or something has a theme, which is very operatic.
Yeah.
From my, music history days from college, I was like, oh, it's so smart. So you learn to find the things that you love and the stuff that you don't necessarily care for on the surface. Still working on Hamilton though.
not a fan.
Still not a Hamill fan.
Yeah, yeah.
I appreciate what the art does for bringing people into musical theater that may have not have been invested before, but I still think Lin-Manuel Miranda has written better stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely think that Hamilton, and there's one song that I like the Battle of Yorktown in Hamilton because it is basically a medley of all the hits that are in that entire show, and I can get it done in 6 minutes and be good. That is it. I mean, you get the not going to throw my shot. You're going to get some of Hercules Mulligan. You're going to get a little bit. You know what I mean? Yep. And then we're done.
Yep.
But also it sounds a lot like In the Heights. That's just.
To me, In the Heights was his best musical. And I think he knew that too at that point because he was like, I'm going to start pulling a bunch of stuff in. But then when you start looking at his body of work and going, well, he's leaning a lot into Latin rhythms and things. And there are not an infinite number of Latin rhythms.
Right.
So I understand. But I still can't get my ears to love it as much as some people do. So,
and so going back a little bit, prior to you now teaching and doing musical direction and things like that, we had very long conversations at the fruit stand about what we wanted to do with life because we sat pretty much like 6 feet apart from each other,
right?
And scrolled away in the back,
right?
Because me leaving was not necessarily on my terms. But I think there was always a desire to do something else. We all have those passions and things like that. Right. We had a lot of talks about, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. Where was it for you that you were like, you know what? Time is that non-infinite source, that non-infinite resource. It's not, you can't make more time. So the time I have, I want to do what I want to do.
Right. I think for all of us, 2020 was the turning point. And I really think that's around the time that you and I started having those longer conversations, because I will say the good thing about the fruit stand is they did offer a platform and a space.
Yeah.
to be able to work through feelings of everything that was going on. Because one of the last shows that I worked on was Mamma Mia with the Augusta Players. I music directed that. 2 weeks later, we were starting to during that process get, the rumblings of COVID. People were talking about it, and then it had made its way over, and my grandmother had gone into hospice care, and then passed away about 2 weeks after we closed Mamma Mia. And then less than a week after that, everything shut down. Yeah. We got stuck at home. And I think just sitting in the despair, where you've already heard me talk about how my grandmother was very influential in driving me into music and theater, and all of those things. She was a huge supporter, and just sitting there and going, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going to go? How am I going to do this? And so just sitting in the silence a lot of days, where, you were going through, and now we've moved to online. So I'm helping sell things and stuff online through chat and things like that. And you just start opening up another window on the computer, and you're like, well, if I could, once we get through all of this, and we will get through it, what is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like? Where can I go? Who can I contact? So you start really sitting in your own mortality and going, what am I doing? And I think that just stuck with me until I left. It was just like, there are things that I want to do. There are things that I'm really good at. And there are people I want to help. Yeah. And being forced to be away from people really added value to the fact that I needed people. I needed to be able to help people. I needed to be able to teach them something, and really give the gift of music to people the way that I feel it. Yeah. So I think 2020 is where it started, and it was just that gnawing presence always there. Yeah,
yeah, and we lost people during COVID. We lost Richard Justice to COVID, who's a great director, part of the Augusta Players family. We had done 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee was one of his last shows he did with us over here in North Augusta at the Riverfront Theater. And it's just, like you said, those type of things, of loss of your grandmother, that really do put life into perspective.
Right.
And I've reached that age where it's like, all right, there's statistically more years behind me than there are ahead of me.
Right.
How can I make the most of these things, these years that I have left, whatever that is,
right.
And there is something that is just lost. Youth is wasted on the young, when you start thinking, because when you feel like you're bulletproof when you're younger, and you're like, oh, I'll have time to,
right.
And then you reach a point where you're like, I've wasted a lot of time. I need to reclaim that. So I think it's amazing that you are doing the thing that really sets your soul on fire, and that you are so talented in.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that it, like I said, it allows you to feel more confident and accomplished and doing what you are supposed to do.
Sure.
And the fact that you're in school too, teaching other kids, teaching those kids with the, with youth, to not waste it.
Right.
And to do those things that are going to allow them to be good, whole people,
right.
As they go through. So I think that's just amazing.
Well, and I just look at them too, because there are some that have gone through my program. I've only been teaching at this school for 2 years. And I see a lot of them that were having the same issues that I did, where it was like, this is what I want to do, but how do I do it?
Yeah.
And so I've tried to make sure that I have opened up those avenues and done the research for them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anybody to feel like they couldn't do it because they just were not afforded the opportunity. Now, granted, I am that person that's like, I'll give you the contact information, but you got to put in the work,
Right.
because you're at this point as an artist, you're selling yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to know how to market yourself, and the only way to do that, like to learn that, is to do it yourself.
Yeah.
So
you got to figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Yeah.
But that is such a rare gift of giving them even just the information, because sometimes it feels so gate-kept. It may not necessarily be, but if you don't know where to look,
Right.
it feels like a gate. It's like, I don't even know where to look. But to even say, hey, this is where you look for this. Here's a person that you can contact, or here's a resource.
Right.
Or, hey, you want to do this, that you want to do, musical directing, whatever, maybe look at being an assistant to a musical director.
Yeah.
I'd say go to Branson, but go to Branson or something like that, where, they do musicals all the time, or there's Dollywood, or it doesn't have to be necessarily Broadway or something like that, there's ways to get to Broadway
For sure.
that don't require you selling everything and, living in a hovel.
Exactly.
And like I said, I think that's great that you even offer that. Because I feel like you probably felt on the other side of that you had that desire to want to do stuff, but you didn't know where to look. You felt like maybe you had relationships that would not help you necessarily.
Right. No, I definitely remember the first time that music directing was even brought into my realm of possibility. Laura Butler was in charge of, she's Laura Thomas now. She's always going to be in my phone as Laura Butler, though. I'm so sorry. But she was in charge of the junior players at that time, and she was trying to step the program up. And she knew that I had a music degree, and I think her mom was busy because Jeannie is, one of our music directing regulars. And I think Jeannie just had plans for that summer or whatnot. But we were going to do Tarzan, the musical. And she was like, I want you to music direct. And I was like, really? I would love to, but are you sure? Like, I've never done that before. I was drum major in high school marching band, but that was, at that point, 6 or 7 years before. So I hadn't done it in a while. But no, we did it, and I really liked it. I liked being involved in the storytelling process. I liked also, because again, I'm a huge music nerd, so I will tell the kids, oh, look at this detail, or listen to this when you sing it this way. Or, pull back here. I know you're listening to the Broadway soundtrack and they belt here, but I want you to do it this way here. And it gives you a little bit more of an emotion that we're going for in the storytelling, and just being able to read what the director is wanting, but also be able to have the acting experience and the stage experience behind me as well, and know what the actor themselves wants has been kind of a blessing that not a lot of music directors have, because they are very, by the metronome.
Right.
And I'm that person that's like, no, let's tell a story together. So she got me involved. And then I remember going to Debbie after a couple of years of doing that and going 9 to 5, the musical was up. And I was like, oh, I really want to do that show. Love Dolly Parton. Protect her at all costs.
Yeah.
But I was like, I think I'm ready to do the main stage. And she goes, you know what? I think you are. And she trusted me to be able to do that. It was one of the best times. A lot of my friends were in the cast. That music was challenging. It was hard. It's fun to listen to, but you don't realize how many notes are in the voice parts when you're trying to teach them. And I just kind of went on from that, and I just kind of went into the rotation. And then I never got to work with Debbie, which was crazy because she was the one that gave me the opportunity. But I did work with Richard, and being able to use my personal relationships with everybody, and know what they want, and having been directed by them was also a bonus. And then when Scott came in, I worked with him a good bit and kind of became the two-man team that just kind of became the predominant source in Augusta's musical theater. I would think, because we just clicked so well. But we wanted to make sure that, everybody had the opportunities. And so I would just say, hey, when somebody else would come in, I would say, all right, this is how Scott works. This is what he wants. These are all of my contact information for any instrumentalist that you may want in town or out of town. I've had to call in people from Atlanta and Charlotte and all that fun stuff. So if you need specific instruments.
I remember there was a harp hunt at one point.
Oh, yes. There's always a harp hunt. But yeah, so I try to share the information that I have with anyone and everyone because I want everybody to succeed.
Yeah.
I know, like we talked about earlier, sometimes it can feel a little bit like it's closed off or cliquey. I know that that's kind of a word that gets thrown around a bunch in lots of theater communities, not just ours. So I try to make sure that we don't feel that way or that we're not gatekeeping. And so that way I can, help foster somebody else's talent too, because I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
And there's definitely going to come a day when I can't do all the things like I want to. So
yeah. And I do think that there was a shift, I think, after COVID, it kind of died down some, at least in this theater community where and I'll give some credit to Scott for bringing that attitude into. He was very pro all of the theater. So you would always see him at Le Chat Noir. You've done shows at Le Chat Noir. You've done plays at Le Chat Noir. You've done other musicals there as well. But also Fort Gordon Dinner Theater when it was a thing. And Aiken Community Theater, trying to be like, hey, it's not just us, it's all of us.
Right.
Come be a part. Let me advertise your show in our playbill. Let's, make sure that everybody is aware of this, because that's how we grow as a theater community is share that information, share resources.
Yeah, no, and it was something that I think you and I had talked about a long time ago is how do we bridge the gap? Because, interpersonal relationships happen. Things happened with the owners and directors and people in charge that we don't understand. We were not part of those conversations or those issues. But because we are all on the same team when it comes to making art and serving the community of Augusta, we're like, well, why can't we just all play in the same sandbox?
Yeah.
So I do agree with you. I think Scott was very instrumental in trying to make sure that was the past was behind us and we were welcoming and including everyone. I mean, we were getting tons of people auditioning from Aiken that never came in because they had always heard, well, it's just closed off. It's cliquey. We'll never get in. They cast the same 5 people over and over again.
Right.
Which sometimes it does feel that way, but when there are only so many males in musical theater, you kind of have to go through the same rotation. But that's also another reason why a lot of the theater teachers in the Augusta area now are in some way affiliated with the Augusta Players. Yeah. So we are trying to foster that talent and also encourage that talent to become involved in the community as well. Yeah. Because we also understand my kids are only going to learn my style of directing if they only do school shows for the 4 years that they're in high school. So trying to promote other programs and trying to get everybody out there just so they become complete, well-rounded individuals is what we're all kind of aiming for. We have a theater teacher group chat that we are all in constantly, asking, hey, can you promote my show? Can we borrow this? Do you know of this? Has anybody done this show before? Type stuff. So
yeah, and that's important though when you're talking about the kids and giving them exposure to other types of directors, type of music directors, types of shows and things like that, plays as opposed to just musicals, things like that. Because if there are some of those kids that they have decided this is what I want to do.
Right.
I want to be an actor. I want to be a musical performer. I want to do this type of thing. There is a very real and often cruel world, period, for all of us, but also when full stop. But when it comes to that type of community too, when you're talking about going to New York and now you're in an audition rotation where that's what you do. You go and audition, you're in audition rooms and you're standing there and you're singing your your 8 bars or whatever it is, and how to pick those right things, and how to deal with that rejection. Because truthfully, as something that I do now, my life is auditioning. I am setting myself up to understand that there's going to be a lot of rejection in that.
Right.
And how to mentally not let that affect your performance.
Right.
Yes, we have those roles that we want, and we're like, oh, this would be great. I was perfect for this, and then you don't get cast.
Right.
And you don't know why, and you start to take it personally. So being able to expose them to other folks, other ways of stuff happening, and even exposing them on a professional level, like, hey, this is how this audition is going to go. I saw the audition breakdown for Beautiful, which is going to be the opener for the Augusta Players this year. And it was very much that. It's very much a breakdown as I've seen on other professional auditions. Right. It's like, this is how it is. This is what you're going to sing. As opposed to bring in a song or bring in your own 8 bars. This is what I need you to sing. This is the cut. This is the part. This is the voice part. And that's something for them to be aware of.
Yeah.
This is now will be your business.
Yeah. No, it was something that when I walked into the high school that I realized the kids didn't know how to build an audition book. They didn't know how to find monologues that were appropriate, or how to even choose a monologue based on the character that they're auditioning for, or sometimes the audition announcement will say in the style of, well, what does that mean? And what are the kinds of things that I need to have in a book to show somebody? So that's been something that I've really leaned into teaching them. I was like, the audition is the important part, because that's 95% of the job.
Yeah.
Once you're cast, it's great. But then once you've signed that contract, there's an end date.
Right.
So you got to be ready to move on to the next thing, and it's a muscle that you just got to stay flexing the whole time. And then also leaning into high school is very competitive. And, we get a lot of the kids in theater that are kind of othered, which high school's already hard. So I remember having the conversation my first year. There was a lot of infighting going on in one of my classes. And I was like, guys, let me understand one thing. I was like, you guys go out into the hallways out here and you get treated like this. Why would you treat each other like this? Like, you're supposed to be your own family. You're supposed to be your own support system. This is the safe space.
Right.
But then, so I've worked on cleaning that up a little bit. But now they're looking at, because high school is just designed for competition. You got football teams against other football teams, school rivalries and things like that. So getting them to understand that when you get into the professional world and you are literally going to get cast or go into a casting call, and it's going to be the same 6 people every single time.
Right.
You have to be those other folks' support system. It's like, I hope it's you this time, or I hope it's one of us this time, You'll get to know your competition, and they should be your friends. Like, it's okay to have some friendly competition, but let's not lean into that I'm going to beat you this time type thing. It's sometimes one thing that my friend Jenny Wright has always told me, just because it's for someone else doesn't mean it's against you.
Right.
And that's something that I just hear myself throwing out there at them all the time, to just kind of try and change their mindset into a more positive, self-motivated instead of I have to beat you type thing. So
yeah, because every audition is an opportunity to show yourself to that casting director.
Right.
A lot of times those things are like there's a preconceived notion, and what they want in the show,
right.
But if you can come in and you can be yourself and you can show them something that they maybe didn't think of, that's who you need to be. You need to be you.
Right.
You need to be your interpretation of Curly. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't need to be the one you saw on the YouTube video, or the one you saw on the movie, or the one you saw last week when you went to see the show or whatever.
Right.
They want you embodying that character. It's acting. It's acting. Even though you're singing, it's acting.
Yes.
And that's such the important part of this.
Yeah. And no, that's something I still tell myself all the time because I don't audition as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. I'm usually on the other side of the table. But, imposter syndrome will sneak in mm-hmm. and you start getting in your own head. And something that Scott said to me sitting behind a table one day, we were casting for something. And he was like, a different day, a different director, the casting could go completely in a different direction. Yeah. You never know. I mean, the director, you could be everything the director wants or everything the music director wants. And they just had a really crappy interaction at Starbucks on the way, and they're just not in it. Yeah. And that's the human aspect of it. But if you came in the day before when they had the perfect day, you might have been exactly what they were looking for. You just never know. Yeah. So stop trying to put yourself on what you think that director's pedestal might be. Yeah. And just really just sell yourself. Mm-hmm. And full circle. It's what I try to tell the kids, just make sure that you are marketing yourself. Yeah. And if you're right, you're right. And if you're not, it's okay. Mm-hmm.
There'll be other opportunities.
Absolutely.
There'll be other opportunities. For you, for your, this is me just asking, like for your audition process, if you're auditioning for a show, whatever, do you have something that you, we'll just talk about music-wise, you prefer people to come in prepared singing songs from the show, or would you rather them bring something from their book in style of, or does it just depend on the show?
For me, it really depends on the show, because there have been times where I have been music directing and we've been putting the audition announcement together, and I will just say, for like Dreamgirls, for instance, mm-hmm. There's not really a lot of solo work in Dreamgirls. There's not really a lot of solo work in Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Because all those songs are so, like, they were written for groups, mm-hmm. Or they were written with background singers in mind. And sometimes there's not a lot of stuff for ensemble that's not harmonized. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult to find something. So usually what I'll do, especially if it's like a pop-ish show, I will say, sing something in the style of, because I want to see your personality. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily need to hear all the right notes. If you can do all the riffs and belting and hit everything, like, that's great. But I just want to see you have fun mm-hmm. in the room. Now, when it comes to certain things like Golden Age, I'm definitely going to pull some stuff from the show and say, hey, I just want to make sure you can do this. Mm-hmm. Or if it's a really abbreviated audition process, like if we need to audition today and we're starting rehearsals next Wednesday, mm-hmm. And it needs to be quick, like, I'm going to go ahead and do the homework for you and just say, sing these 32 bars. Right. But yeah, when it comes to stuff like that, and I'm giving you something from the show, chances are I'm looking for the storytelling. Mm. It is the acting. Yeah. The pop shows and stuff, you're portraying a person that already exists, like these mm-hmm. jukebox musicals I'm thinking of specifically. And yes, there's a storytelling aspect to that, but mm-hmm. those people like Carole King or Diana Ross, they are show people. Mm-hmm. And I want to see you light up the stage. I want to see how you can work the room mm-hmm. and if you're going to catch my attention. So that's when I give you a little bit more free rein to say, all right, you pick a song that showcases you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it really just depends on the show. Yeah, that's a really long way to get around to that really short answer.
But I love the fact that you brought up the storytelling of the show, the song, because I think, having sat in auditions before, there are some people who listen to the Broadway cast recording mm-hmm. and they sing the Broadway cast recording. Mm-hmm. A lot of time the Broadway cast recording is just that. It is an album of the show. Mm-hmm. It is not the show. It is not the storytelling necessarily. Yes, Correct. You can divine the story in the words, but you miss out on that emotion. You miss out on that, what's going on in this moment mm-hmm. for this character. Why did this person stop talking and burst into song? Right. What is the heart behind that? Right. What is that storytelling? And an example of that is the difference between, what is it? Was it Audra McDonald singing Mama's Song?
Rose's Turn?
Rose's Turn. And the emotion, just the raw emotion that she brought into that performance in the Tonys and to her run for that show, as opposed to, a Bette Midler, or, you know what I mean? That was
the thing that drove me insane about her run in this latest revival of Gypsy, is everybody wanted to compare her to who came before her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I, as someone who will mimic a voice if I'm able to, I find, the joy in that.
Mm-hmm.
Voice acting is never really something I got into, but I do kind of mimic or pick up accents and
mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if I wanted the Broadway cast, I would apply for the rights to just do a lip sync version or, a staged concert version, kind of like what they do with Rocky Horror in some places, where it's like, we're going to watch the movie and the people down in front are just reenacting the thing to the soundtrack that's already happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, Audra brought such a different perspective to that, also being the first woman of color to do that role.
Mm-hmm.
Was a completely different context. And just watching her and listening to her and just feeling like the emotions and her soul being ripped from her body. Like, I felt that she was going through the pain that a mother who would be in that situation would go through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the whole point of musical theater, is that the emotion gets so high that we have to sing, we have to dance. We're not just doing it. And Ethel Merman set the bar many, many years ago when she, started skrelting in everybody's face in those big theaters in New York. But there comes a time too where it's like, okay, well, let's strip some of that back and get into, what are we trying to say? Like, yes, the notes are important, but the notes on the page are what's important. Like, the composer chose that melody for a reason. So we don't need to muddy it up too much.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to add a bunch of riffs. We're not trying to impress the audience that way.
Mm-hmm.
Go to a pop stars concert if you want to do that.
Right.
And there are some times where it will work in musical theater, but for the most part, it's like, don't detract from the story you're trying to tell by doing too much.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's like I said, I think that's one of the things that makes a good show a great show, because that helps to create that human connection between what's going on stage and the audience that's observing it. And that's one of the magical things about theater is that it is breathing, it is living, it is happening in the moment. Put your freaking phone down, don't record anything, turn your notifications off, and be in the moment and experience something collectively. There's so few things that we can experience collectively, like theater, that move us on such an emotional level. Yes, there's, hundreds of thousands of people watching, the World Cup, and we're experiencing something emotionally together and cheering and like that. But not a lot of on the field storytelling going on.
Right.
There's going to be highs and lows to extremes between, yay, we made the goal. No, we didn't get the goal. Yay, they made the goal, or boo, they made the goal. We should have made the goal. That type of stuff. But the nuance of storytelling and what that emotional journey you go on, those acts that we take through the story are so important.
Yeah. Can you imagine sitting and watching the World Cup? Just watch it on mute. And it is not nearly as interesting without the color commentary. And those guys, those men and women who are doing commentary, they're literally acting. Like, they are heightened emotion this whole time. And, if you're not able to get in the stands and have that feeling, that camaraderie with everybody else that's in that stadium in that moment, like, we're watching it at home. It's kind of how I feel about the Tonys too. We don't get to experience it the way the people in the room are. We're getting highly produced, highly filtered on our end in our living room. So I can go off on a very long tangent about, armchair coaches and things like that. When they're criticizing the stuff that they see on TV, I feel the same way about, the sports as I do about watching people fuss when they watch a Tony performance on TV. And I'm just like, let me tell you, I don't care if the notes are just a little off, but if they're giving it, like, that's it. That's important.
Yeah.
So
and that's what you would experience if you were in the theater at the time. Because as much as a show may have been up for years or how many ever runs or whatever, there's always just a little bit different every show because the audience is different.
Right.
And again, it's that living, breathing thing. It's that breathe in, breathe out, that communication you're having with the audience. Sometimes a joke lands in an audience that never landed before.
Right.
And you get this laugh that came out of nowhere.
Right.
Or a gasp or a tear or whatever. Because it's a living, breathing piece of art.
Yeah. And, just to unburden my theater teacher heart here, I mean, when theater was started way back in ancient times, it was started as a communal event.
Yeah.
Like, black box theater is great because it can be intimate, but it's still communal because you've got 100 seats. And you're just closer to the action. But I was like, there's a reason in Shakespeare's day that was like what everybody went to do. It wasn't just, they could have gone and drank anywhere. Right. But, they are choosing to go to the theater together. That was the event. And I think it's just really sad to see theater not being as appreciated as it used to be, or any of the arts really. Because music in movies is important. Or in case of horror movies, the lack of music is extremely important.
Yeah.
If you're sitting watching something and the music cuts out, something big is about to happen. Or imagine the Harry Potter films without John Williams' score underneath it.
Yeah.
I was like, we take the art so for granted because it's just been there. It's always been there. But then we just kind of shove it off when it comes to funding or asking for support or just getting audience members to show up.
Buy a ticket and show up.
It's hard to market some of these things because they're just like, it's not my thing, but it's somebody else's thing. And I promise you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours of your life.
Yeah. And, we go back to COVID shutdown. The arts, even though they couldn't be in the theaters, those are the folks that stepped up to help people who were at home going stir crazy.
Right.
You saw artists, you saw shows that were mounted virtually via Zoom and things like that. We did that with the players to be able to help people stay entertained, stay in a good mindset, to realize that they were not alone.
Right.
It's so important. Anything going on with your Evans players that you need to get folks aware of to help for anything that's upcoming?
So this year we are going full tilt. When I got there a couple years ago, I stripped everything back. We just did 2 shows. We did our 1-act competition, and then we did our full-length play, or we did our spring musical. Last year, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. Let's add in another play. So we added Clue. This year, again, full tilt. I've lost my mind. We are doing 6 productions at Evans. So we are going to start with our 1-act, which is going to be a cut of a show that everybody knows. I'm just not going to say it just yet because I'm still waiting for the rights to come through on that one. So I don't want to get anybody in trouble or jinx it. But we will do a student-directed play because the students do get an opportunity now to earn fine art seals on their diploma if they do a capstone project. So I'm allowing 2 senior young ladies to direct a show, and we're going to go through and I'm going to teach them how to direct and choreograph if they choose to add that in, how to market a show, budgeting, all of the stuff that goes into it. Because it's never just about putting people on stage.
Right.
It all costs money. And then we'll do the classes that I'm teaching. I figured this year I would just make it, even though it's adding 2 more shows to my year, we'll do You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown for my musical theater class. And we're going to do Puffs, which is a spoof on that other magical boy that went to that school over in the UK with a bunch of other witches and wizards. Don't want to get in trouble for that one either. But yeah, and then we'll do our full-length play, and we will do Oklahoma as our spring musical. And this year, because Oklahoma has such a good history for me, we've moved into a new space. So we have got a brand new theater this year, and I ran into a good friend of ours, Greg Goodwin, at Lowe's one day. I was shopping for something for theater to build, and he was like, I was in the first production that was on that stage that you're teaching on back in 1981, and it was Oklahoma. And I was like, oh my God, shut up. And it just got me to thinking, and I messaged the theater group chat. Dan McGill and Beth Haas were in there, and I was just like, guys, do kids want to do Golden Age musicals? Like, they all talk about like these Duncan Sheik shows, and they want to do the edgy stuff. And and I was like, I just don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot of belters. I lost a lot of great performers this year. So I'm kind of in this rebuilding moment. But I was like, I do have a couple of good female singers that I think would really fit the tone. And Dan McGill was over at Grovetown. He's now retired, but he was like, my kids ask me to do that show all the time. And I was like, you're kidding me. So I was like, we're going to do it. And we're going to lean into the nostalgia of it. We're going to, the director, actually, of the chorus from 1981, found me on Facebook because, Austin Rhodes posted it on his Facebook and got the community talking about it like a month or 2 ago. She found me through that and ended up calling me.
Wow.
Which was a hint to I should probably take my phone number off of Facebook. But I really enjoyed talking to her. She is so excited. She is working on getting that entire cast together to try and come see the show. So I'd love to incorporate them into it.
Oh, wow.
I've already gotten the faculty involved. Like, we're going to have some faculty performers. I'm inviting alumni to come back and be in the show. Pam McCorkle is going to come back and play Ann Eller. Greg Goodwin is going to come back and play Andrew Carnes, Ado Annie's dad. So I'm really excited. And I just got notification yesterday that Nathan Lubeck is going to come and do some choreo for me. So a little bit of a marketing tool for me is, I'm trying to get some really strong male actor, dancer types to come in and really show everybody, like, guys can dance.
Yeah.
Everybody can do musical theater. It's, not just it is a female heavy arena, but it's not just for girls.
Right.
And it's not something, that's, too girly for straight guys to do or anything like that. So, and plus I want to just expose the kids to all of the people that have been around for a long time that, have been mentors to us, that we grew up, working in the theater alongside and were, teachers and mentors to all of us. So, and that they are still very successful people and they still do theater and music because they love it. So even though they may have gone on to choose other career paths, like, theater is still a passion and an outlet for them. Yeah. So I'm so excited about Oklahoma, even though I swore I would never do it again. But this time I don't have to be in it. I'll just have to direct it.
That's awesome. I saw a post you put up a while back. Are there some things that you guys still need that you have, like, an Amazon list going for or something like that?
I do have an Amazon list. Don't you worry. I will repost Amazon list as each show comes up. But Oklahoma, I am definitely looking for a Surrey with a fringe on top.
There you go.
Specifically, because, we talk about it.
It's kind of
important. I don't think the Rodgers and Hammerstein estate will let me change the lyrics to match whatever it is that we do get if it doesn't have fringe on top. And things like a butter churn, just some very farmhouse, old school type stuff. I did go into an antique market. I won't say which one. But I asked, hey, do you guys have a butter churn or know of anybody who sells in your market who might have access to one that I can reach out to? And the lady just real loudly said, well, there's a guy in the back that's got some really primitive stuff. And I was like, it's a butter churn. I don't know that I would call it primitive. It's not prehistoric. We're not talking, caveman days, but, I do understand that it's very niche, but we have, we got a lot of farm area around here. So hopefully somebody's got one. Yeah. So we'll see.
Well, I'll definitely make sure that we put a link or something like that in the show notes so folks have that, or they can get in touch with you and let them know, hey, yeah, I actually happen to have a Surrey with the fringe on top.
That would be great.
They could be featured. Paul, aside from your work that you've got going on and the great things you're doing with theater, what's bringing you joy?
Things like this. I know I've kind of put off because I've always said nobody wants to listen to me ramble. But actually just being able to sit down and talk to you, brings me joy. Being able to reconnect, even though, I haven't been able to see you in a long time. But being able to reconnect and rekindle the friendships that, have always been there. And I am just very secure in, no matter how much time passes by or how busy we get, we can always pick up the phone and just catch up, grab a drink. I still owe you like 2 Robtobers worth of meals, but people, like the really close relationships have been really important. My dog, Tater, Sir Tater Butt. And then mostly my husband, just being able to sit at home and he totally understands the fact that I am an extroverted introvert, or maybe an introverted extrovert. That's probably more like it. And I'm just on all day and yelling across a room, an expansive space at, 200 students across an 8-hour time span, and just needing to recharge and just sit and just parallel exist for an hour or two before I'm willing to engage in a conversation. Just having those personal relationships, spending time with Dallas, my husband, and then being outside, listening to music. There are definitely times, like there's never a time when I am driving in silence. I'm always listening to something. I'm always trying to create something, putting it on paper or journaling or, making lists. I love a list, especially a physical one that I can check off. Just paying attention to the world around me with, the people that are important, and making sure that they know that they're important, and spending time with people is what is joyful to me.
All right, Paul, this is the second segment of the show. This is where we dive a little bit deeper into your mental health journey. Definitely believe we all go through those down days. But the more we can talk about it, the easier it is, not just for us, but for all of us. So for you, how do you keep the darkness at bay?
Some days, to be completely honest with you, you just can't. Some days it's very hard to just keep the darkness away. There are definitely days where I feel like I just have to lean into it. But as a creative, leaning into it doesn't mean living in it. Because I do believe that we kind of have to sit in it for a second to process it, to figure out what it is that we need to do to get out of it or to navigate through it. But I'll lean into it if I need to. But a lot of times, if I can, I try to make sure that there is some sort of dialogue that I can have with somebody. Like, there are so many people in my life who have had so many different experiences that I know I can call and say, hey, I know that you've experienced this. How did you do it? Because again, even I tell my students, like, I don't have all the answers. I'm very methodical in how I think and how I plan. But I probably also have a touch of ADHD because my creative side is all the time just moving and talking and doing all those things. So having that inner dialogue always going on in your head. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to lean into it and then you create. You use that darkness to create what it is that you're feeling. Sometimes it's not even just creating. It's let me pull the flute out that I haven't played in several years and just see if I can navigate through this piece that I really connected with when I was taking lessons in college, or listening to the right movie soundtrack, or listening to the right movie soundtrack to get me out of it. Because sometimes the methodical part of me has to sit there and go, all right, is this something you can fix now? Is this something that can wait to be fixed? Or is this something that's not going to matter whether it's fixed or not? And so trying to qualify and quantify each thing as it comes up kind of helps delegate the weight of those things and how much darkness you allow in. So I will sit there and I will say, all right, well, this is not anything that I can control. So is there an element of this that I can control? If there is, how do I do it? Let's get on it. If there's nothing I can control about it, all right, well, we're just going to tuck that away. I'll talk it through with somebody if I feel like it's really heavy or if it's something that may affect some other part of my life. I'll call somebody or have that conversation, meet them for coffee. But yeah, sometimes you just have to lean into it, but then don't let it drag you down. You just have to use it to motivate you. Find the pieces of light that you can, grab onto those, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. And I know when you're talking about categorizing each one, sometimes life just, kicks you in the nards and it's hard to be that methodical or that rational about it. I can imagine, like, you lost your grandmother, the person who you decided to take flute for because she liked it. There's obviously such a deep connection there that you literally molded parts of your life because of your affection for her. That's got to be something that, when it happened, it kind of threw you off the rationale.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you are never prepared for a loss, no matter how long this person's been in the hospital, no matter how long they've been sick, or if it was sudden. You are never fully prepared to lose, your guiding light. And there are a lot of times where my mom will even say, you sound just like your grandmother. Because, she practically raised me. So, she was there for everything. The one thing that she couldn't be there for was my wedding. But I know she would have been physically if she were able. But that was also something that, my family had to learn how to navigate. Was I am also the only queer child in a large family. So, and we grew up in a very religious household. My grandmother's husband, he passed away before I was born, but he was a Southern Baptist minister. And so they were very strict in the Bible. And so being able to have the long, deep conversations with my grandmother and my family about my relationships with other people and the things that they were scared of about me growing up as a homosexual, and then finding the person that I wanted to marry. And really challenging their beliefs, but then also understanding where they're coming from. And saying, I see what you're saying, but what does my marriage negate about yours? And I think that was a big turning point for them too. So Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what made our relationships so strong and why it was so hard, because that was the person that I would go to and have those hard conversations with.
Yeah.
But, we always led with love and understanding. And we know, and Dallas also knows, if something has just happened, if there is a big issue that's happening, which are very rare in my marriage, but if something big is happening and I just need to process it for a minute, like I'm just not going to talk about it. Because, the Irish side of me just wants to throw my hands up and say every 4-letter word that comes to mind or get real creative. And I don't care if I hurt your feelings, but that's not the person that I am.
Yeah.
That's just the knee-jerk reaction. So I want to make sure that, I can be that solid conversation and that solid rock while somebody else is having to go through some stuff too. And I learned that from my grandmother. So I take a lot of the things that she taught me after she's, left us. And I just try to give them back to the world. There's that famous line in Hello, Dolly towards the end where she quotes her late husband. And she says, money is like manure. It's no good unless you're spreading it around. And I feel that way about the golden nuggets that my grandma always left me.
All right, Paul, this is the third segment of the show. It's time now for the Fast Five. The Fast Five. It's time now for the Fast Five. Fast Five. Sorry. I wonder if I could use that as an audition song. I don't know.
You should.
I'm still working on it.
An original piece.
Exactly. I will be performing an original piece for my audition.
I promise not to go full Simon Cowell on you.
Fast Five is powered by Poddex. It's an app created by my friend Travis Brown. If you go to chewingthefatbr.com/Poddex, it'll take you to where you can download it on your favorite app store. It's made for podcasters, but it's really great icebreaker questions. No wrong answers in this. Just first thing comes to the top of your mind. Just five random questions. All right, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Question number 1. What did your 15-year-old self imagine you'd be doing right now?
My 15-year-old self probably thought that I was going to be a marine biologist. The typical millennial answer. I don't know what our fascination was about the ocean, but I feel like I was going to be some sort of scientist or an actor.
I love that, though. Marine biology. That's great. Question number 2. As a creative, what kind of shower ideas do you get?
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I do a lot of thinking in the shower.
Oh, okay.
I do a lot of thinking as I'm going to bed. That's the problem, because that makes for late nights. But that's usually when I can come up with set designs or costume designs or I can add this creative process to, what if I want to add choreography to this piece here and how would that look? And I end up having that internal dialogue as I'm trying to go to bed. But shower, it's usually I think I have 15 minutes to finish the shower before I need to get on the road.
That's still valid, because they say the best ideas come in the 3 Bs, either bedrooms, bathrooms, or bar rooms. So
there you go.
No, that works. Question number 3. If you were a captain of a ship, what would you name the ship?
Oh, I'd have to name it after Tater.
Oh.
But what would it be? His full name is Sir Lancelot Taterbutt. And I don't know that would fit on the side of a ship.
It's small print.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult.
You wouldn't know until, you got really close. But I would definitely name it after Tater.
That's awesome. Question number 4. I'm going to put a caveat in this one. What do you geek out about? But not just... It can't all be musical theater, because that's what you do. So aside from that, what do you geek out about?
I geek out. You know this. I geek out about Harry Potter. I am that millennial. I geek out about Harry Potter, and I love period pieces, like watching like Rome on HBO. You remember that HBO series? I would watch that. Game of Thrones, like anything that's just like ancient feeling. Because I will go on a deep dive about how I think Circe is one of the best written villains in all of television. And all of actually literature, because, George R.R. Martin did a really, really good job creating her. But yeah, I'll geek out about some random stuff.
Okay. I love it. And question number 5. What is your theme song and why?
Theme songs change all the time.
Okay.
What is my theme song right now? It's hard to say.
Is that the name of the song?
Sure, we'll go with that. Also self-composed, just like your Fast Five theme song here. One that always comes back to me is, and it's hard to find, and it's actually the one that I quoted when I got my job at the fruit stand.
Really?
Yeah. Fun story is Joe Pierce, who was the store leader at that time, took us all on our last interview one by one. And I think Apple Music was just getting started. And he asked me, he's like, if you could choose a song, what would be the song that is the theme of your life? And I went off about the theme from The Patriot, like John Williams. It is so difficult to find now. I don't even know that it's on Apple Music, like the actual soundtrack itself. I think you can find some other recordings of it. But yeah, I had a band director in high school that was a Civil War reenactor. And he also did Revolutionary War reenactment too. And he was from South Carolina, and he was in the movie.
Okay.
And I remember it was my junior year or sophomore year. That movie came out. He drove all the way in from Lexington because he lived in Lexington, and we saw the film together. And he was so excited, and the movie was so good. And John Williams, I mean, come on, as a musician, like that's the apex. But he passed away not too long after that. And he has also been one of those that was just like very inspirational in pushing me forward, and giving me opportunities that I didn't know that I wanted, or didn't know that I was qualified to have. So that one is kind of always playing in the background, even though I say my theme song will change.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it's the opening
to score.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But, sometimes it's Saturday Night Fever because, you want to walk to a beat.
That's right. Or you might need to perform CPR.
Correct. You never know.
I love that. I love it. Well, that is our Fast Five, and that's the show, Paul. Thank you so much for being here, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Sorry it took so long.
No. It happened when it was supposed to happen.
That's right.
It happened when it was supposed to happen. Paul, if folks want to keep up with you, what's the best way they could do that?
You can always find me on Facebook or Instagram. I am terrible about posting. But if you want to follow Tater, he also has an Instagram as well. I believe his is Sir Taterbutt. So Instagram.com, Sir Taterbutt. I am listed as Paul Lawson Jones on Facebook, Paul Barton-Jones on Instagram.
Okay. I'll make sure to put those links in the show notes so that folks can follow the person that I know you are and that I love. And I do love you. And I thank you for being here. And I wish you nothing but success in everything you've got going on and all those dreams that you have that have not come to fruition yet that are going to come to fruition.
We still have time.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And if you would like to support this podcast, I'd appreciate it if you bought me a coffee at chewingthefatbr.com. But until next time, I look forward to the chance we have to sit a spell and chew the fat.